What's happening, everybody? Hope you guys are doing good. Welcome back to The Bar is Open. I'm Greg Lamontagne. You'll see I'm joined here by not Beth, but Krystle, Kruizenga, and Sammy Sandoval. We got these guys here. What are we going to talk about today?
Jiu Jitsu.
Jiu Jitsu. So I've got two pretty badass individuals on with me today. I started training Jiu Jitsu when I got here to San Antonio. So first, I'm going to introduce you guys, but like I said, Krystle, Sammy, met you guys at Submission Concepts or your Fitness 365. I had done martial arts in the past, did Taekwondo for 10 years, a little over 10 years, did that. But when I moved to San Antonio, I really wanted to try something different, right? I think did I meet you first? I think I met you first, right?
Yeah.
And I was a little apprehensive about getting into jiu-jitsu, not just because I'd done something I knew for so long, right? Taekwondo. Done it for so long. But I'd done a little bit of jiu-jitsu in Taekwondo, right? So they started kind of cross-train into different martial arts and stuff like that. That's, like I said, that's where I met you guys. I'm a white belt, 3 stripe, just got my 3rd stripe on my white belt. A couple years in. What started y'all on wanting to get into jiu-jitsu? Either one of you guys.
I'm going to let him go first since he's been doing it longer.
All right, there you go.
Well, so I remember having the conversation with you because you wanted to get Beth into some type of classes.
Right.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember the conversation.
This is like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years almost.
And I was just going over everything we offered as I was signing you up as a member. And then you just stopped in. You said, hey, I'm going to stop by. And yeah, you just went from there.
Yeah.
The story continues to unfold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. It was in 2015, June 15th of 2015 when I started. And
It's weird how we remember like those dates. Right?
Yeah, it's super significant. So I celebrate my anniversary, my BJJ anniversary every year. But I was initially just working the office at the gym. I was supposed to leave for the Marines. Things with mom played out. I moved back with her to help out while she was sick and going through the whole cancer thing and all of that. And so I was supposed to leave for the Marines. And my previous sales manager at an old Spectrum Athletic Club, he's like, hey, I know you're going to be leaving soon. I know you're close by in the area. Would you mind helping me out? Need some help over here, a small little spot. Sure, yeah. And fell in love with it. They let me do my own schedule, and it's very low key. Being there, everyone's super cool. It's laid back. And so started there, and Biggs and all the guys started to come over to train. They just put open and brought mats into the studio. And one of the guys kept coming in, and I would help them unlock the studio and make sure they were good to go for class time. And he kept inviting me. And for whatever reason, I just, nah, I'm good, or
just weren't into it yet, or something.
Yeah, I was just, I don't know if I want to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't really know what it was about. And when I would go over there, I said, okay, it looks like just a whole bunch of dudes hugging very aggressively. And that's like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but
why are they rolling around on the floor together?
It looks intense. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was about it. And I really didn't know much about jiu-jitsu at the time. If anything,
have you done any other martial arts?
No, it was mainly soccer.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit of karate, but that was my younger brother who was mainly into that.
Okay.
But mainly soccer for the most part. And ended up trying out a class, and game over. I fell in love with it. A couple months later, I was super hyped. Told Krystle about it. She came in a few months later after that too. And then same thing. It was
2 months later.
2 months later.
Yeah, because it was really? August 2015. I don't remember their exact date. I think it was in the 20s. But
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, man, and I'm still going down the rabbit hole.
Right, absolutely.
When you're a white belt and you're like, man, I can do all this stuff, especially a little guy. Like,
yeah, I hear you.
You got guys like Ruckus who are just huge. Him too. About 3 or 4 months after he started, I'm training with big dudes, and you got Coach John, who was still a brown belt, and Coach Dave, who was still coaching there at the time. Even one of the other, so the sales manager's son, him and I started together too. And so you have
Okay.
a group of guys that you start out with, and then life happens. People drop here and there for whatever reason, and you stick with the training. You stay consistent because you love it so much, and that's just
And then all of a sudden
that's just your
it's
thing.
10 year or 8 years later or whatnot, coming up on 7 years, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm just amazed how everything just kind of continues to
Mhm.
surprise me. It continues to bring me more on and off the mats. That's
Absolutely.
really where, and I know that's on the notes.
We're gonna
here
get into
too.
that too, yeah, because there's a
Yeah.
big portion of it. So going over to you, Krystle, like he said 2 months after he
Yeah.
started, what made you? This is an interesting thing because you said it was a bunch of guys rolling around on the floor, right? And when you're a girl coming into it, it can be probably a little bit more intimidating, I would say,
Yeah.
right? You're like,
But I was already okay. So he's my cousin. So now you know that, right?
yep, I found that out last time. I was like, what the hell? I didn't ever do
not
this.
know
I had
that.
no idea. Yeah.
So, like I said, that podcast, yeah, I grew up with a bunch of guys, right? And then
Okay.
when I was younger, I did karate as well, and it was fun. I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. And then we stopped that because of financial reasons. And then in college, I started doing MMA because my mom and my aunt, they were into MMA. And so I started going to that gym. And then we did a portion that was grappling, but it wasn't jiu-jitsu specific.
Okay.
At least the detail was not as detailed as Jonathan is. So we, I trained there, and then I stopped there. So that was, I don't know, in 13, 14 or something like that. Anyways, so then I started, well, I was going through a crazy phase. Usually all this stuff,
Something
is
happens.
happening.
Yeah.
And Sammy knew and understood that I was going through a breakup and then other stuff. And so he invited me because he knew I needed something like this. And I did the first class, and I just loved it. I mean, that was exactly what I liked a lot about the MMA.
The aggressiveness of it, or
well,
just
I've
the
always been
flow
kind of
it?
a tomboy. So
Okay.
I've always just liked competition and
Okay,
athletics
yeah.
because I'm an athletic trainer. So I've been around sports and all of these things and around guys for as long as I can remember. All my cousins growing up mostly were guys. So I've just been in that environment and I was comfortable there. So I just joined. So that's, I guess, the difference between like some other girls coming in.
That's fair. Absolutely.
And that's also why, like, I think that because I've slowly started to draw some females in, but I think just because there are females there, they're more likely to start joining.
Absolutely. So that's kind of where we'll kind of get into that a little bit, because like Beth, doing karate or doing something where you're not like physically on top of each other, like in jiu-jitsu, that can be intimidating to some people, guys or girls. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you nailed it with, you got a dude that's 250 pounds squishing your face into a mat, right? That can't breathe. You can't do, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, if you're smaller or something along that. Or,
well, even Star was kicking my ass because she was there. I don't think it was as frequent, but she was kicking my ass.
Really?
Yeah. Kicking my ass.
Yeah. So, I mean, that can absolutely happen, but you have to have kind of leaders in the gym, in the jiu-jitsu gym, in that class or whatever, that are, hey, it's no big deal. Like, we're just going to roll. I think also when we have new people come in, this is even for me in having prior experience in martial arts and doing those things, it's like, you don't want to throw them in the deep end right away. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people think they're just going to go in and get choked out instantly. Like, we're not trying to do that to somebody that gets there the first day necessarily. Like, at least I'm not.
Unless their energy.
Well, it's all about, if they're trying to like go for broke, then hey, that's on you. But if it's somebody that's a little bit more apprehensive and they're like, I want to try it, but I don't want to get my arm broken off either, and they're respectful, I think that's a big thing. Like, you don't just roll into a gym like that, because even the newest white belt, probably with a couple months under him, could hurt somebody that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
For sure.
Because they go full aggressive or something like that. And I don't think I've had anybody do that really personally.
We get the cool thing about Subcon is we get that feedback all the time. Like, man, I really love it here. I've gone to other places and people just trying to smash and almost some sort of like hazing to say, see if you're gonna stick around or not, type thing. And
so it could be that way. I understand, but how do you grow a business when you're just beating the shit out of everybody? You can.
Some people like that. I don't know.
I know, and that's fair. That's
they
on
like
there.
the hierarchy of that. Like,
I understand the hierarchies, and so but that's in my mind again coming from a lot of years of doing this, and it's respect. You know what I mean? You don't get respect. You try and walk into a new gym and be respectful and those sorts of things because you don't know the how things work at that gym. Every gym is a little bit different, so. That's one of the things, like, it's kind of towards the bottom on here, but the notes for no other reason other than it's anybody can train jiu-jitsu. That's what's really, really cool about jiu-jitsu. Like, you can have physical limitations and you can still train jiu-jitsu, right? You can literally, I follow a guy, I can't remember what it is. I think it's called like Mr. Footloose or he basically had his feet amputated, right? Yeah. And that dude, I mean, and he kicks ass, right? And, so you can do that. You can have other physical limitations that you can work and do jiu-jitsu.
And that works to his benefit, too.
No ankle locks. No. He made a funny video. He's like, this is how you get out of a foothold or whatever. He doesn't have them. But you do that. But that's the fun part about it, too, right? One of the biggest, it's anybody can do this. I've heard dudes, it's always interesting when people come in, and I'm probably one of the older guys there, being 45, almost 46, right? But I've literally talked to other people that are new, saying, I don't know, I think I might be too old for this or something like that. And I'm like, how old are you? 30. I'm like, no, man. I'm like, that's not old at all. Like, I follow another lady. I think,
Jiu-Jitsu grandma?
Yes.
Yeah.
She just got like her blue belt I think she just got her blue belt within the past handful of months or whatever. And, you go like, you can do this and you can start new things at any time. Right. You know what I mean? I think that's a huge portion of it. And that's what I like about jiu-jitsu so much too.
If you read her caption on her post, they're very real. Like, coach put it on me today, or, she's literally just having a quick conversation on her feedback. And then everyone blows up on the comments like, we love you, keep training.
Yep. It's right. I mean?
Yeah, and so she gets a lot of people cheering her on because anyone can do it, like you said. And there's a little bit of a apprehension of starting anything, for one.
That's it. That was the word I couldn't put together a couple minutes ago. It's that apprehensive.
Yeah, most definitely. Right. Like, I don't know about this.
Do I want, like, even like when you started, it's like, you're watching it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I've done jiu-jitsu in the past. That was me coming from Taekwondo background and doing the classes. And I'm like, that wasn't jiu-jitsu. That was going through the motions of jiu-jitsu in a very, very simplistic way. Like, when you get into jiu-jitsu, you're doing, it's the hardest workout I've ever done. Literally, an hour and a half of jiu-jitsu, and and it's not because you're hurting. You're just tired. Your hands hurt. You know what I mean? You work when you're doing jiu-jitsu.
Everything's working.
Everything.
And your neural networks are working as well.
Because you're learning new things. Exactly. Like, you're trying to, it's a game of chess very much so too. You're trying to figure out, all right, how do I not get caught doing the same? Like, I'll make the same mistake over and over, and I get caught in the same exact way over. And I'm like, what in the hell am I doing? Like, I just went through this, right? Why would I do that again? And it makes you think, right? Yep. And then maybe that one time you're like, oh, don't do that, because I'd put my arm here like a dumbass, or did this with my, turned this way or whatever. Yeah. It really is a very fun sport.
And then when you're successful, you're like,
yeah. When you land something, or you finally, that's another thing. It's like you feel like a very much like a right and left brain kind of working, because I can pass one way really, really easily, really well, and then I'll try and do the same thing on the opposite side, and I'm like, why can't I do it? Like, my brain just...
Why am I so dumb?
Yeah, your brain's misfiring. Yeah. You're like, I can do it this way, but I can't do it this. It's just the weirdest
thing.
Your
training partner, like, that's your awkward side, huh?
Yeah,
They know.
You fall over that way, or
I ask that all the time. That's your awkward side, huh?
Yeah. It's true though, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I think anytime we learn something new about that, so
it feels so weird.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. So you guys have both been training. You're both purple belts under Coach John. At Submission Concepts, like we mentioned there, So, and this is an interesting thing. Coming from like a traditional karate, taekwondo, those types, you go through belt rankings pretty quick, right? Especially to get people, it takes a couple years to get to black belt. But once you hit black belt in taekwondo, then it takes a long time to get like your next degrees, right? So within 2 years, you could probably get a black belt if you're testing at this right timing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I think that is challenging with jiu-jitsu as well. You can't chase rank. You cannot chase a rank.
Yeah.
You can't chase belts, because if you're doing that, you're doing it for the wrong reason, I think. And that's where, coming from taekwondo, a lot of people, you know, hey, I'm a 2nd degree or I'm a 3rd degree black belt. It's awesome. Congratulations, right? Jiu-jitsu, it's like 15 years before you get your black belt or something like that, right? 10, 15, depending on the individual. Some people have gotten in 5 years or whatever. Right. Not a lot of people have that much time to just do jiu-jitsu 24 hours a day, you know. So on average, 10. So what was Coach John, like 12, 13, 10 years?
Right? It was 10.
About 12. Yeah,
Okay,
10.
something like that.
10 to 12.
Yeah, so that's a long time to dedicate yourself to a martial art, a decade.
Yeah.
Right? And like, Beth's like, when are you going to get moved up? And I'm like, it's not like that anymore. Right? So what do you guys think? I mean, it just is what it is, right? But how do you guys stay motivated in jiu-jitsu? Is it learning? For me, it's like the camaraderie, like hanging out with you guys, getting the workouts, learning something new. We talked about this in a prior episode, Krystle. It's like disconnecting. So once I'm doing it, the hour and a half flies by, or hour, whatever it is, and I haven't thought of anything else. Right? So what keeps you guys motivated to keep going?
If you have an answer, go ahead. I'm formulating mine.
Because it's all of that, like literally all of what you just said. Like
Yeah.
it's the learning, it's the environment, it's the community of people now. Like having the community that we have. Like I love everybody. Like
Right, they're all awesome, right?
Yeah, like we've met so many new people along the way, and just like so many great people, and I don't know, like that's just a big part of it, right? Being around that, and then just learning new things all the time, and then having those aha moments, like those are just like the best things ever.
Right.
Like it's a blissful thing, right? And then yes, the meditation, like the rolling when you're in flow state and you just like you're going and you're hitting everything, you're escaping well, or you're getting the submission, or you're just flowing, and it's like one transition after another, and it's just like, to me it's beautiful and it's like artistic. And so that's another thing that I love. And then, you know, you said motivated, because I'm like, now I'm like naming things that I just love about it.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That could be the motivation behind it. It's like, what is your motivation for doing it? And that's totally fine. It's all the things you love. Otherwise, you wouldn't necessarily do it, and you wouldn't be doing something for 7 years.
Yeah.
So far, right?
So, and it's also, what I was going to say is the application that that it has off the mats as well, which is, you know, being in those uncomfortable positions and having that mental resilience, and just getting through these situations and learning and just growing continuously and always training. I know he's going to get on that one, but like always training is just the thing, that the mindset that you need to have. You need to continuously just improve yourself in whatever regard, you know, on the mats and off the mats. So
that's awesome.
That's it right there. So as soon as I first started to notice that jiu-jitsu also translated off the mats, I'm like, man, all right, this is it. You know what I mean? This is the bee's knees. Especially when you see it with the kids. When the
kids are all, that's another entertainment.
Man, within 1 week, Andy, this little girl, I was chatting with the mom, and she said that she already got feedback from her teacher that her demeanor changed within 1 week.
Really?
Yes. And so the cool thing, and I explain this to parents when they bring their kids in all the time, is we're creating little leaders. We're building up little leaders. So when we have a new student come in, we're going to have one of the advanced or veteran students, take them by the hand and show them all
Partner
the
with them. That's cool.
Like, hey, Farrah,
big brother, big sister kind of thing.
Exactly. So it's not just a grown adult barking orders at
that's
someone looking
awesome.
over you type thing. And they really we find a little bit more engagement with that.
It's a mentorship almost, right?
Exactly. So they're having to communicate to someone brand new if they don't get it, they have to figure out how they're gonna, explain it. And honestly, we just tell them, show them the drill, show them how to do it, and have her copy you.
Yeah.
And that's one aspect of it. The communication. I've noticed that I'm better at communicating, I'm continuing to get better at communicating with people. How I react to situations.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you said earlier, don't put your hand there.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna take it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And then same thing. If something happens, like, okay, let me calm down real quick. This is off the mats. All right.
Yeah. Just focus for a second.
Yeah. When I'm in the office answering phone calls and
You're busy. It's hectic.
Yeah. I have to keep my composure. I have to breathe. All right. What am I doing? Cool. I got this going on right now. You're able to navigate a little bit smoother through whatever it is you have in front of you. And when that stressful situation comes around, you can't freak out, or else you're gas yourself out, right?
Yep.
You can't freak out because then
I
everything
did that.
shuts down.
I still do that once in a while. Like,
Yeah,
shit.
and you have to constantly remind yourself, like, oh, hold on, I got carried away. Let me
Gotta
bring
slow
it
down a
back.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, let me bring it back real quick. Let me breathe low and slow, and all right, there's a way out of here. Let me
Yeah.
just figure out which way.
Focus. Yeah.
For sure. But off the mats, on and off the mats, how it translates over is, man, that's what I truly love about it. That's what's keeping me going, to be honest. That's really
cool.
what's keeping
That's
me
awesome.
going.
And I think everybody's going to have a different reason in some way. But I think that I work at home right there, and getting out of the house and focusing on something different, right? It's the drilling, the repetition of doing those sorts of things. And for me, I love learning new things. Like, I absolutely love learning new things. I'm in the innovation space at work, right? Like, doing new cool things. Jiu-Jitsu is like, I don't care how old Jiu-Jitsu is. There is so much to learn, right? And it can be big things. Like, here's an entirely new type of technique, right? A new choke, a new triangle, a new this or that. But it's also the minutia within each movement, right? The angles and how you apply it, right? And that absolutely, if you can break those, I think that helps me break down jiu-jitsu, but also my work, right? And I can break it into pieces. It just helps me focus and kind of do I guess that's part of the bigger part of it for me too, right? I mean, on top of, like I said, the community and those sorts of things, all of that's important to me, when we kind of think about it. And I think you nailed one thing. This is something that I think any parent, if you have children, should get their kids into some form of martial art. Jiu-jitsu is a good one. Taekwondo is generally a starting point for kids, because it is that developmental. It's they have to be able to stand still, focus. Like at the end of the classes where you close them out, you get them calm down, breathe, close your eyes, that chilled out second, and then you release them to the parents, right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome, because little kids that are 4 years old don't like to sit still very much.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they do it though. And they do it pretty quick within probably a couple classes, right? I had a kid in Taekwondo, and I was an instructor there. And we had kids with ADHD all the time, starting classes. And within a couple of months, they can focus. They can, even if it's in that environment, they could focus. They could stay still. So there are definite huge benefits, for that type of development. So I think you nailed a big piece of that.
Definitely, it's the brain. We train the brain too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah,
too.
absolutely. So one of the things that I was kind of thinking about it is it's, the mental and the physical sides of it. We've talked about that, right? We talked about that with mindfulness in the last podcast we did, right? And we talk about those sorts of things. And one of the things that can be frustrating when you get into jiu-jitsu, like right away, because you don't know shit, right? And you're like, I don't even know how to do this. But I think when you see that aha moment of a newer person coming into it and they're like, oh, it just clicked, and you see it, that's so overcoming frustration, I think, in jiu-jitsu is a challenging thing. Because I'm going through it all the time, right? And you can't keep up. You keep up, you're not going to be better than somebody that's been there for 7 years, right? I mean, you can muscle it, and you can do those sorts of things, but you just don't have the skill set yet. So, I mean, if you were to try and tell somebody new, like we do it all the time. It's like, just slow down. That's what I try and tell people. I'm like, slow down. Think about it. Right.
Mhm.
So what do you, when you're working with somebody that's brand new, how do you help them overcome frustrations?
Well, it depends on the person, of course, because some people they like the calmer and more like, can you guide me through these things? You know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to do here? So sometimes I'll just communicate, okay, you need to tuck your elbows here. Usually that's what it is. I give them little cues. Okay, don't expose your arms, tuck your chin, don't let me grab this grip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like bringing awareness to that. And then I'll be asked other times, can you just like throw me in the fire? Like, okay, if you say so. Like, and so, with respect,
Yeah.
I
But I'm going to choke you out.
I'm going to turn
you
it
ask
on a
for it,
little bit. I'm going
yeah.
to turn it on a little bit, but it depends on the person,
Yeah.
of course. But yeah, just the frustrating part just never ends.
It
That
doesn't, right?
literally just never ends, because some days you have really amazing days and your rolls are just amazing. You hit everything, like it's just you're in flow state. And then some days everything is just not going your way. You're getting tapped by white belts
I've
and
had
you're
that happen a
like
whole
literally, and you're just like, what the shit? Like, what is going
happening?
on with my jiu-jitsu? Am I sucking more? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we go through these waves.
Yep.
And so it's just riding the wave. You have to go through it, because no, your jujitsu hasn't gotten worse. You're just having a bad day.
You're having
know
an
what I
off
mean?
day, right?
Yeah. And it is frustrating, like, going with someone who's a little more skilled with you, but it's also exciting because that
They
just
push you,
means-
right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
that's
it's
part of it that I
the
love.
challenge. That's the
Mhm.
mental resilience. Like, are you gonna fall back and say, well, F this because I'm just, I'm giving up because I don't want to.
Because I'm just not good
Yeah,
enough.
because I'm not good and I'm not. Or are you going to come up to the challenge and you say, okay, so now I know, like, at this level or with this reaction, or you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
there are so many opportunities for me to grow.
Absolutely.
And those are the times you really need to show up to class, because you're gonna get something from it. You're definitely gonna learn something. I always remind myself of one time there was left just beat and broken mentally, physically, crying in the shower
Yeah.
type thing. You know what I mean? Like, what am I?
I've literally done
Yeah,
that.
you know what I mean. So you're getting, you just completely broken down on multiple levels, and it's like, this is a lifestyle. We got a session tomorrow. I'm still gonna show up tomorrow, and I have the most awesome session ever. You know what I mean?
You
Landed
never know. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just come right back. You jump back on the mats, and the mats do all the work for you. Like they definitely the mats is like the
It's the only place you can do it.
Yeah,
You have to be there. You can't
And-
read about it. You can read and you can watch videos, but until the practical application of it, and when you actually start doing it, I don't care how much UFC you've watched or how many whatevers you've watched, getting on a mat and actually rolling and going through that, there's no other way to learn it. There really isn't.
It's like reaction time. You need
Yep.
to learn the timing of
You have
it all.
to, yeah, it's all of it. Absolutely.
You're not
So-
gonna get it from watching YouTube videos.
You can watch and that's what I'll like forward them to
Conceptualize.
somebody. Be
Yeah.
like, hey, coach, can we try this? Or something like that. But yeah, you don't, and Beth's not gonna be letting me, hey, let me try this choke on you or something. Just stay still for a sec. You know what I mean?
Lay
So-
down real quick.
Yeah, just lay down real quick. Yeah.
I'll show you something.
So when I think you kind of touched on it a little while ago. It's that out of the gym application, right? You've got the skill set, you've got the mindset, but the skill set that can actually come in, the self-defense part of it is big. And I think for guys, everybody's kind of a little bit machismo and stuff like that, right? Like, I could kick your ass, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't give a shit about stuff like that anymore. Maybe when I was a lot younger, I cared, but I don't anymore. But knowing that you can protect yourself and your friends and stuff like that, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's a huge part of it.
The confidence,
the
like
confidence.
having confidence and just security in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can be, like I said, I'm not a big guy either, right? None of us are big people. There are a lot of big ass people out there, right? And it's like, if they could try and, do something, but we know we've got a different type of particular
Knowledge
set of
base,
skills,
right.
right? But it's true. And lot of the team at Submission Concepts, they are pro fighters or amateur fighters, like in real life fighting. You know, like you're gonna have a couple fights coming up. One is like next weekend, I think. Next weekend,
21st or 22nd.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's gonna be on Fight Pass, I think, on UFC. And then Fatima's doing I saw her post on something else. But hers is more jiu-jitsu
Yeah, it's a
competition.
grappling, I think in September.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are, real life experiences, right? That can translate into just going to the grocery store, going to the convenience store, going to whatever, When we think about those types of things, I think everybody should have some sort of skill set, at least, because you never know when something can happen. Right? And being able to protect yourself is very, very important, right? What types of when we talk about getting into martial arts or jujitsu, we've kind of nailed. You've hit on like some like the benefits of it, but and then the post side of it. So where am I going with this? It's ultimately like, what is your favorite piece of jujitsu? Is it I kind of touched on a lot of it. But what's your favorite thing of jujitsu?
I was going to go back to the communication part again, because I think that's been one of the most challenging things for me, as far as like new people coming in and then people leaving, and then, and for their own reasons. But like it's a challenge, like being able to communicate with different people, and kind of, because you get frustrated, like you said, you get really angry and upset, and emotions are happening on the mats.
Yeah.
And like being able to help guide people through that, to even for myself, to be able to respond and react a certain way. I think like it's really helped hone in on that skill in particular, because I've had a lot of practice communicating with people.
Yeah.
From kids all the way to you name it, like anybody on the mats, like with parents as well, like just communication in itself. And it's been challenging, just having to do that and learn that, but it has improved a lot of my life, like having that understanding, like knowing, okay, this person's frustrated, but it's not really at me. Like it's because of whatever.
Yeah. They're learning, and the learning curve is steep to start, and it stays steep.
Yeah.
Right. And that can be absolutely be a challenge. But communication, again, it's one of those things you don't think about, right?
Yeah. In jiu-jitsu, like you wouldn't. But for us, I think also maybe because we work there.
And your instructors. Yeah. So it's different than just being a participant like me coming in and taking the classes or doing classes.
But I feel like you play a role in that, like all of us do, because that's part of the community and why people continue to come back. Right. It's like, how are you treating the white belt that comes in? You know what I mean? Like 100%. The fresh one. So it's all of us. It's all of us.
Yeah. It's really cool.
So what you said earlier, or what she said earlier about building confidence, you walk with your chest a little bit more proud, stand up a little bit taller, and you've heard the term jiu-jitsu saves lives. It literally does. You know what I mean? A lot of, like, you think of veterans who start jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of communities for vets where that's part of their therapy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's you release aggression,
For sure.
learning new things.
You're sweating, and honestly, you're literally changing the internal chemistry of the body.
Yeah.
And so you're getting stronger on some level. You walk around different, you communicate different, you process things different. So if you got a problem in front of you, you start to, because you're problem solving on the go when you're rolling.
Yeah.
So you're like, man, this is going super fast. So like when you're rolling with Coach John, like there's a lot going on.
And he's just laughing at you the whole time. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, there's so much going on.
It's hilarious.
I'm like, man, like I'm trying to process everything like so fast. Like you're just behind. You're so behind, and so that helps you stay sharp when you're having to process something at work or process family issues going on. Whatever you have in front of you, whatever situation is in front of you, good and bad, you learn to develop a process for certain situations. I got this thing that came up. It's happened before. This is how I got over it prior. So I'm a little bit.
And now you can shortcut it maybe a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. I think
That's fun. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's why I think everybody's gonna have their own reason, right? So it's communication. It's
And
kind
we
of the
share it with
skill
others,
learning.
so they
Yeah.
can have that same aha moment, like, oh, I didn't think about that.
It is absolutely a skill set that is you can hand it down, right?
For sure.
And that's the whole point of it, right? I think is
Learn,
to build that
grow,
community.
share.
Yep. It's a great way to, to kind of bring it together. For me, it's a lot of those things, right? I haven't thought about it from a communications perspective as much. I don't know why, and that's just a different way, but I can see but now I can see it, which is important. I think people that are getting into it, you never know. I think most people get into it because they're like, oh, I'm going to learn jujitsu and I'm going to be able to kick somebody's ass. It never is like that. It's never like that, right? It is a completely new thing and it's fun as shit. It really is one of the funnest things I've ever done.
I was going to say that you're dealing with a lot of energies.
Yeah.
A lot of different personalities and a lot of energies. So like being able to manage that and adjust to that and like knowing who you're rolling with, because you're basically exchanging like what are they going to bring to you and how are you going to respond to them?
Yep.
That as well. So.
There's definitely strengths and weaknesses. Everybody's got, or is it a style? I guess it would be kind of a style. Right? Everybody's got their style that they like to go with, or you can see that in each one of them too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it could be their communication patterns. It could be the way they roll. It could be some people want to play more defensive versus offensive or whatever it is. And that's what I think that's part of what I love about it. It's the chess match. It's like the ultimate chess match, right?
Personality plays a part in developing your game or your style.
Yeah.
And that's where it's cool to see people like, oh, okay, this guy's very flowy, he's very loose, or this guy's just very tense and tight, and it's cool to see all the different personalities on the mats come together. Jiu-Jitsu brings people together, and we're learning one thing. You have doctors, lawyers, you have
great point.
cops,
yeah,
everybody just on the mats here for one thing, to learn technique, stress relief. We have a great community there, and so we. It's fun when at the end of the session. What do we do? All right, good training.
Everybody's like, great night, good job. Yeah,
good
absolutely.
Training, love it. Have a good night. Blah blah blah. And we're just hanging out at the end of
the class for a few minutes.
Yeah, and then
shoot
we
the
go
shit.
home and
Yeah, that is a very good point that you made there too. As well, is like, there's such a diverse background of individuals that are in jiu-jitsu. And I think this probably can be said for a lot of those types of, martial arts and whatnot. But it's not any one particular. If people are going to have PhDs, you're going to have people that are just, whatever, stay-at-home parents or, or like I said, lawyers, or they work at the grocery store, everything in between, right? That's awesome because I think that brings a lot to the table. And that's where the community portion of it kind of comes in. It's like we have a lot of cops, of course, and I think a lot more cops should train jiu-jitsu, obviously, but you have that background, and then you have it juxtaposed to different people that they may own a weed store or something like that, right? Or something like that. Kind of maybe you think they're polar opposite, but they're just people. You know what I mean? We're all just people trying to learn something new and something cool, and that's a very interesting kind of point, right? So. And those cops are going to the other people to get training from,
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wait a minute. That's hilarious. When I kind of gave you a little flashback about like how some people, you were like, yeah, I'll turn it up a little bit, right? I remember a little while back, it's probably like a year ago, maybe a little longer. I was rolling with Coach John, and I was like, hey, man, I want you to tap me out as fast as you can, right? And I was like, he's like, really? Why? So I was like, I'm a white belt. I want to know what it's actually like, not that he's toying with me or anything like that, but he's kind of toying with me, right? Like, I think he tapped me every 20 seconds for 5 minutes, and it was a different submission every single time. And I literally wanted to know that's kind of the point, right? He wasn't going to hurt me or anything, but there was nothing I could do.
Wow.
Absolutely nothing I could do. And he was literally like, why do you want me to do this? And you want to know kind of, like, what does it mean to be a black belt? And that was kind of
this
my
little
exposure.
guy too, right? Like,
he's not a big dude.
No, he's what, 5'7", like 140 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm 180, 5'7", right? And I'm like, it's just a different thing altogether. When you're like, I know this, and I've tapped out this person, and blah blah blah, and it doesn't matter. none of that shit matters. Like
Yeah.
it was hilarious, but I always love telling that story because it was one of the funniest things. And he's just giggling the whole time. And I'm just like, all right, here we go. So if you have a black belt, very respectfully ask them,
Very
how fast can you tap me out and see? It'll open your eyes a little bit. It's fun though. But yeah, I think everybody should kind of have to go through that maybe once, right? Maybe once, just do it, just to see.
Sometimes I'll get annoyed when he plays with me, and I'm just like, Jonathan, no, I want you to go hard, and then I'm like,
why did I ask?
why?
This?
I'm like, now I feel like shit, but it's okay. Keep going.
Yeah,
It's the skill set, man. You put the time in, you put the reps
that's what I'm
in,
saying.
and
Yeah,
that's
just
it.
thousands of hours and stuff, right? And so it's been like 2.5 years, like I said, for me or so. And it's just being dedicated to it and doing it. And if you haven't ever done a martial art, you don't have to have some crazy background in jiu-jitsu or anything to come in and do it, and that's what I love about it as well. It's really a cool,
All walks of life.
everything.
Literally, all walks of life come in.
It's cool as shit, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
it's fun.
cool. I like it.
This is one thing is managing injury, right? So pretty much once a week, I'm hurting something. Right now, I'm dealing with a finger that keeps getting snagged on stuff in class. So I'm taping fingers together. Knees have been jacked up, dislocated toes. Those are just kind of part of it that come with
You're
the.
scaring people right now.
But it's life, right? I mean,
No,
that's
it's totally
just the reality of it. Like you don't tap quick enough. Your arm kind of gets a little twisted, something like that. You try and manage it. So we've all gone through it. That's building a skill set, and it's a physical. No matter what, it's mental, but it's physical.
Yeah.
Very, very, very physical. Worst injuries you guys have had? Is it like fingers, toes, those types of things?
For me, my neck.
Yeah, your neck was hurt last year or so, right? Or was it this year?
When I was a white belt, I hurt my neck.
Oh, okay.
So it was just like a re-injury.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I have to. Now I'm very methodical with my jiu-jitsu to avoid any type of neck cranks. I used to do inversion a lot.
Okay.
I still do it a little bit, but
It's when you're on your back, like upside down and shit.
yeah, and so I do not I try to avoid that when possible.
Okay.
But yeah, because I was putting a lot of strain and stress on my neck. But the initial injury happened when I got slammed on my neck because I was about to tap someone out, and it was a male who did not want to be tapped out by a female. So, and I recognized that, but it just it sucked.
Yeah.
And then every time that it has been re-injured, which has been multiple times, it's just recognizing your body and being aware. And I think that's one thing that I wanted to say because I knew that you were going to bring this up, is just being aware of your body and recognizing, okay, like this is jacked up. Like I need to take
Can't
some
train
time.
through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is not something that I'm going to push through. Like especially if it's a joint, or if it's your neck or if it's your head, especially like concussions and stuff like these are serious things that we need to pay attention to.
Right.
So just recognizing that and seeking the help that, the professional help that is needed. But, cause I know you were gonna, right. You're gonna, point out Matador, but just finding those people, those professionals to help you, and also just recognizing when you should and should not push through something. So
That's great. What were your thoughts?
Well, for me, it was ankle, actually left and right ankles, and then a knee. Find a lot of knee issues and shoulder issues and stuff in jiu-jitsu. But you end up loving it so much, you get so much out of it that you're like, I'm going to figure out a way to keep training. You know what I mean? And so
counter to what you just said.
I'm the athletic trainer, so sports medicine, so that's why I'm like, recognize, but I do the same.
Yeah.
Because I'll push through at a
lot
certain
of tape,
extent.
a lot of braces.
But it's different when you like sprain a finger or a toe,
Versus
you know what I mean?
damage something.
Yeah. And knowing what your level is at, and also your training partners can help. So just communicating with your training partners, saying, "Hey, my knee, I have a meniscal tear or whatever it is. Like, can we just not target this knee?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, no heel hooks or whatever, or no Kimuras, my shoulders. Like just recognizing and training through it and adjusting to that as well. But knowing your body and recognizing,
Sammy.
No, like a lot of people.
I mean, I did it leading up to our last competition. My back was jacked. Well, I jacked it up like that day
Yeah.
of
yeah.
the competition.
You were
But it
lifting
was
a water
trash or
bottle.
something?
I was getting my bag out of the back seat of the car
I'm like,
to go to walk into
yeah.
the competition, and I threw my back out, right? And then for fucking month after that, I still had to keep going to physical therapy over at
Yeah, managing
Matadors and managing it. Took a week off afterwards. Finally, it's gotten better, right? And that's kind of me, like, been some toes, popped out a joint the wrong way, or finger, like my knee got popped one time, so that's finally kind of healed up. But little things, but that's kind of to come with any new sports. You could fall off a bike, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get some road rash, you deal with it. You know,
Get in a car accident.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it's like you're here because you love it.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
You love it so much, like you learn and you figure out how to do it. If you're going to do, if you're reaching out to, PTs and chiros, and you're going to, the float tank and all the recovery methods, that's one thing. I mean, managing that on your own, but learning how, okay, I need to be foam rolling before or after my training session.
For sure.
I need to be doing my mobility, because the brain and spinal cord are the powerhouse. Everything is managed by that. So if the signals aren't getting 100% to where they need to be, all right, cool. What's locked up? Where are my kinks? The neck, traps are hard to get. So like, doing
How do you how do you loosen that stuff up before you go? And that's
Exactly.
warming up and
yeah.
yeah.
And so you'll see Larry go in there about 10, 15 minutes prior.
Mhm.
Eric will go in there 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hour before, and just hop on the mats, loosen up, do some ground-based movements. Krystle's got her class where you can learn, okay, man, this one feels really great for me, and my back feels a lot looser. I'm gonna keep doing this one.
Right.
You know what I mean? So with my clients that I bring in, I'm like, we have a 7-day mobility reboot. I want you to practice this. You have no excuse not to do anything, for one, and for two, I eventually want you to do. Develop your own movement practice.
Okay.
Develop your own recovery practice. Develop your own mobility drills. Which ones do you find the most relief for? Keep doing those. Where are your imbalances? Right side, left side. Keep working on the side that's not so great. Can you make it feel not so awkward on this left side?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? So over time, you learn how to do these things on your own, so you can keep training. You heard the old school method of where I have a elbow or a wrist or shoulder issue. I'm just gonna tuck my arm in my belt and just go on one side only. You know what I mean? There's that.
Or you could
method.
work on getting it fixed.
Or
right?
you can do that. Yeah. So there's multiple approaches. Which one is yours? Which one are you gonna train smart? Yes or no?
Yeah.
I want to keep training. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Elio Gracie was 95. You know what I mean? He was still on the mats. May have not been going as intense.
He's 95 years old. Yeah. I mean,
and you're at that point. You're teaching, and you know what I mean. You got everyone beneath you doing their thing. Even Hicks and Gracie, he's very methodical about how he trains, back issues, and
yeah.
with him, I think he's doing like stem cell stuff too. Taking it a little bit deeper, to still find some way of relief, and to still get in there on the mats somehow.
All about getting in there.
Yeah, man, and just taking it back to life. All right, I got this thing in front of me that I got to work around. How am I going to work through it? How am I going to figure it out?
It's awesome.
Back to training, right? Back to right.
We want longevity. That's what the goal is.
That's what I was saying. So we kind of talked about some other types of gyms, right?
Yeah.
That may be a little bit more intense to start out, to test if you would stay in the gym. Can you hack it kind of shit, right? And I'm not a big fan of that. That's also probably not the best business model to follow if you want to maintain a good, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, okay, you need if you're pro fighting, that killer mentality, that's fine. That's one thing, right? But the vast majority of people are not fighting professionally, or they're competing for fun once in a while, right? Depending on the individual, they may be fired up, and they may be more hardcore than other people, right? Whatever that means. But yeah, you kind of want people to come back to class, right? So the longevity of it, keeping people healthy, and then recognizing when they're hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to bring it back to, training partners.
Yeah. It's making sure that they're being safe and they're not overtraining, or it's like, hey, take a couple days off. It's okay. It's just one class, right? Well, I got to be here every single week. Well, this is forever. This doesn't end.
Jonathan tells me that all the time.
It doesn't end.
Yeah.
It just goes forever.
Yeah.
Teaches you patience.
Yeah.
That belt chasing thing, that can be a real deal. And maybe people get frustrated because you're a white belt for 2 years or 3 years. Well, that's the deal. That's how it is. Trust the system or the process or whatever that means, right? Like I said, you can chase belts, but your skill set's got to be there, and it just takes time. So with anything, with any new sports or new skill set you got, I don't care what it is. I bring somebody into my company or into my team. I can't expect them to know everything right away, right? Give them a few months, give them a year even. Took me, my newer role, I've been there for a few years. It took me a solid probably year to really kind of get in a flow of, I know what I'm doing, right? I mean, I knew my job, but like when you really feel confident and comfortable and, you know, being able to do it. Same thing applies to jiu-jitsu. You get a big dude laying on top of you. It's like, all right, how do I maneuver this guy who doesn't want to move? I can't even breathe, number one, because there's keys all wrapped around my head. And just being calm in those stressful moments. It's really interesting because that shit happens all the time too, right? So
we hear the kids like, this is hot. Can I take it off? Oh, that's good. We want you to sweat more. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yep.
Oh yeah, if you want to sweat, come to San Antonio and train with us because it's what, like 90% humidity and like 85 degrees in the gym, and you just sweat. I'll weigh myself before I go, and I literally lose like 5 or 7 pounds, like just in water weight.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy how much you lose.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long. An hour and a half of jiu-jitsu does a body good. So
Yeah.
It really does.
yeah, absolutely. So if you guys are interested, look me up, look Krystle up, look Sammy up. Where can they find you guys?
Instagram, Kruizen Chris, Kruizen Chris, Krys.
Your Fitness 365 Submission Concepts. That's HQ. You're there, where I'm there every day. There every day doesn't feel like it's fun. It's just
It's
fun.
like your other home.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just going to the house. I'm just going to the back over there.
Yeah, search those. You get a week of training and stop in and try it out. You can even just watch. You can just watch
come in
a
and
class.
hang out, watch class, and see what it's about.
Yeah.
Or participate, you know. Get a map burn with one of us.
And we want to make your experience enjoyable and guide you and whatever you got going on in life. This is a way for you to release and release that stress and just have fun doing something new with some really cool people.
Absolutely. So definitely check us out. Come out. You can tag me. You can get in touch with me anytime. You can find the Bars Open out on the Bars Open with Beth and Greg out on Facebook and Instagram and all those places, and then iTunes and YouTube, of course, and Facebook and Spotify and all that good stuff. So if you don't mind, please go give us a like and subscribe. Check it out. Thank you guys so much for coming and talking jiu-jitsu. We've been wanting to do this one for a while now, so I'm glad we actually got to sit down and take some time.
Yeah, it's nice.
And just shoot the breeze about jiu-jitsu. Coming from a beginner to somebody who's been there a while longer, 7 years. It's a long time, And
So it's 2 years, 2.5.
Well,
Bro,
It's a good amount of time. You've dedicated.
it's a good amount of time, but and it's something that I'm never gonna stop.
One thing I do notice is people hype each other up.
Yeah.
And we don't give ourselves enough credit, right?
I'm like,
Kind of one of those
2.5
things.
years. That's a good
It's called being
amount of time.
modest, right? Because there's always somebody else who's been there longer. So it is what it is. But thank you guys so much for coming and hanging
bro,
out. It's
thank
been
you.
awesome. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you guys next time. Take
Much
care.
love.